Okay, so in the previous lecture, we discussed the positive real lemma. So in this lecture, we'll see two things. One is what does the positive real lemma itself reveals, and second is an interesting result that would be revealed when we see the proof of the positive real lemma itself in one of the directions. Okay, we'll not see the proof in both the directions. We'll just see it in one of the directions. Okay, so first let's check out what the positive real lemma actually reveals. Okay, now you should note one thing, that the positive real lemma has two statements which are said to be equivalent. One is that the real of g omega is non-negative for all omega greater than equal to 0. Okay, please keep in mind that we are talking of transfer functions which are stable, and the state space representation which are essentially minimal, which is a minimal representation of the transfer function that we have. Okay, now this positive real lemma has a statement, as I said, where it says the real part of g omega is going to be non-negative for omega greater than equal to 0, and then there is this other statement that there would exist matrices PLW, where P is a positive definite matrix and PLW are matrices of appropriate dimension, such that certain matrix equalities involving ABCD system matrices and the PLW matrices would be satisfied. Now, the first statement, involving the real part being non-negative, is concerned with the frequency response of the LTI system. The second statement that we have is using a time domain representation of the LTI system. So, positive real lemma is trying to establish a relationship between the frequency domain representation and the time domain representation of a LTI systems. Okay, so this is a very important thing that this lemma actually does. Okay, now let's see what happens. So suppose the energy function associated with such a system is chosen to be of the form half x transpose px, where x is the state vector, p is the matrix under consider, p is a positive definite matrix. Okay, so with the choice of p being positive definite, the energy function E is also greater than 0, it is also positive definite and hence qualifies to be a Lyapunov function. Okay, now when U is identically 0, okay, what happens? If you look into d by dt and solve for it, what we get is it is equal to minus half x transpose L transpose x. Okay, now this L transpose L is a positive semi-definite matrix. The L transpose L is a positive semi-definite matrix, which means d by dt will be less than equal to 0 or negative semi-definite, indicating that the autonomous system would be stable. Now, when u is not identically 0, so it is at least non-zero for over a finite time interval, then in those cases, if we evaluate d by dt, and so the evaluation of d by dt actually turns out to be of this form. Okay, of this form, and if we evaluate u transpose y, then it turns out to be in this form. Now, if you take the difference between u transpose y, which is the supply power, and d by dt, which is the rate of change of stored energy, as we had said, what it turns out is, if we solve this using the equations given in the positive real lemma, then what we end up is u transpose y minus d by dt will be greater than equal to 0. Now, this indicates what? That this positive real lemma is indicating that the GS that we had in hand, I mean the system that is under consideration, is essentially a passive system, because u transpose y minus b by dt is going to be greater than equal to 0. So the system under consideration is passive. Okay, so a positive real system is always a passive systems. Okay, and the positive real lemma that we had seen, though we had started with the fact that GS is a single input, single output, uh, GS represents a single input, single output system, but it still holds for multi input, multi output system as well. Okay, towards the end of the lecture, we'll see what is the definition of a positive real transfer function. In case of a single input, single output system, the definition of positive reality is GS is stable and the real part of Gj omega will be non-negative for all omega greater than equal to 0. This is for seesaw system. We'll see what is the definition of a transfer matrix. When we consider MIMO system, we will have transfer matrices. What is the definition of positive real for transfer matrices GS? Okay, so we'll see that towards the end of the lecture. But now, what we have established is the positive real lemma is revealing that if the result holds for a certain system, then the system under consideration is actually a passive system. Okay, now let us see the proof for the positive real lemma in one direction. Okay, so what is the direction? We'll start with the fact that the matrix equalities are satisfied, and we'll proceed towards the fact that the real part of Gj omega will be greater than equal to 0 for omega greater than equal to 0. This is where we'll go. Okay, please note that the p that we'll be using is positive definite. When we say positive definite, this would indicate that p is also real and symmetric. Okay, so since ABCD is the system matrix corresponding to the transfer function G, the G can be expressed as CSI minus A inverse B plus D. Okay, so we can represent Si minus A inverse as phi S. Now, for all S greater than for all S such that the real part of S is greater than equal to 0. Now, please notice that this statement essentially means that in the S plane, we are trying to look for certain conditions for all the points on the closed right half plane, because we are saying real part of S is greater than equal to 0. Okay, so what we do is, for this we start with the fact that how would GS plus a conjugate of GS look like. Okay, please note that I am taking a transpose here. The reason being, I am assuming that we are doing this proof for MIMO system, because as I said, the positive real lemma also holds for multi-input, multi-output systems or MIMO systems. Okay, that is why I am taking a transpose along with the conjugate. Okay, so for a matrix, we take a transpose and then conjugate it to find the complex conjugate. So GS plus G transpose S conjugate is nothing but this. That is what we have got in equation 1. This is after substituting the matrix equalities that we have started with. So the matrix equalities that we are using is this: A transpose P plus P equal to minus L transpose L, PB equal to C transpose minus L transpose W, and W transpose W is D plus B transpose. This is what we are starting with. Okay, so now we take the terms B transpose P phi B and B transpose phi transpose PB. We take this and evaluate them further, and we get what we have in equation 2. Okay, now if we substitute what we have got in equation 2 in the equation 1, then and solve it further, what we get is the following expression, that S plus S conjugate multiplied to B transpose phi conjugate P phi B plus L phi b plus W whole transpose multiplied by L phi b plus W. Okay. Now the first part that you have here is greater than equal to 0. This is because this is a symmetric equation with P being positive definite, and you have a S plus S conjugate, and given that we are concerned with only the closed right half plane, this first term is going to be greater than equal to 0. And the second term is a matrix transpose a matrix, so that is why that is also going to be a positive semi-definite matrix, and hence the total sum reveals that GS plus G transpose S conjugate is going to be greater than equal to 0. Okay. Now if you substitute S equal to J omega, then for a seesaw system it is revealed that G omega plus G minus J omega from this equation itself. So we have already got GS plus G transpose S conjugate is going to be greater than equal to 0. So if you substitute S equal to J omega, what we get is G omega plus G of minus J omega will be greater than equal to 0 for all omega greater than equal to 0. So this, I have not written the transpose here, indicating that I am considering the G to be seesaw, but I must include the transpose here. So this would indicate that so for a so for a seesaw system, oh my goodness. So for a seesaw system, what happens is with this result, so what we essentially have GS plus G conjugate of S is greater than equal to 0, and S equal to J omega on substitution gives me G j omega plus G of minus J omega to be greater than equal to 0 for all non-negative omegas. Okay, so that is what we wanted. So we started with the conditions of matrix equalities with the matrices PLW and the system matrices ABCD, and we finally ended up with the fact that real part of G omega is going to be greater than equal to 0. Okay, so this is the one direction proof that you have, but please note that when we are proving this, we got the inequality 3, which is stating that GS plus G transpose S conjugate is going to be greater than equal to 0. So if you plot the GS, I mean if you map all the points in the closed right half plane of the S plane, okay, closed right half of the S plane, take all the points that you have in the closed right half of the S plane and map them under the transfer function G, then what it indicates is for a seesaw system, okay, for a single input single output system, if you take all the closed right half points on the S plane and map it to the GS plane, then it turns out that the entire closed right half plane maps onto the closed right half plane in the GS plane. It will not map onto the left half. Okay, so this inequality that you have, so earlier, remember, if you recall, in the previous lecture we started with the fact that real part of G j omega for a seesaw system has to be non-positive, non-negative, right? But we saw that only with that we cannot link the fact that the system GS is stable. But with this condition that GS plus G transpose S conjugate being greater than equal to 0, this condition incorporates the fact that the real of G j omega is going to be non-negative. Along with that, the system GS under consideration is stable. Okay. Hence, one can say that the definition of a positive real transfer function can be that GS plus G transpose S conjugate must be greater than equal to 0 for all points in the closed right half S plane. Okay, so this is what I am saying, that for a positive real system, the entire closed right half S plane maps to the first and the fourth quadrants in the GS plane. It only maps onto the closed right half of the GS plane as well. So the closed right half of the S plane maps onto the closed right half of the GS plane for a positive real system. Okay, so this is a very interesting result. Okay, so this particular inequality that you have here, this inequality that you have here is incorporating both the facts that the polar plot lies in the right half along with the system is going to be stable. Okay, so this is a very important result. Now, how does it look if we try to look it in terms of the Nyquist plot? Okay, so in fact, so this is kind of revealing. So in Nyquist plot, what do? We plot the entire closed right half plane onto the GS plane. Right, Nyquist plot is a map of the closed right half S plane onto the GS plane. Okay, and in fact we don't map all the points in Nyquist plot. We don't map all the points in the Nyquist plot for the all the points in the closed right half of S plane to get the Nyquist plot. We just plot the boundaries. Okay, so what are the boundaries? Boundary is basically the j omega axis, so the entire j omega axis, assuming that there are no detours that you are taking on the j omega axis. Okay, and the big semicircle which tries to incorporate the entire uh, right half of the S plane. That tries to encircle the entire right half of the S plane. So we only map the boundaries of the closed right half S plane. Okay, we only map the boundaries of the closed right half of the S plane to get the Nyquist plot. Okay, what this inequality, the GS plus G transpose S conjugate greater than equal to 0 is trying to say is um, it is not only saying that for positive real systems, the closed right half of S plane maps to closed right half of GS plane, but it also establishes that, you can verify this, that the closed right half or the right half of the S plane maps into the interior. So the boundary of the S plane, boundary of the right half of the S plane maps onto the Nyquist plot. The everything inside the boundary of the S plane maps into the interior of the Nyquist plot. Okay, so everything that you have in the in the interior of the boundary of S plane will map inside the Nyquist plot for a positive real system. If a system is not positive real, for example, S plus 1 by S plus 2 as I have taken here, it's a positive real system. For this case, the right half of S plane will map into the interior of the Nyquist plot. But if we consider a system S by S minus 1, then in this case the right half will not map, it will map to the exterior of the Nyquist plot. It will not map into the interior of the Nyquist plot. Okay, and note that S by S minus 1 is not a positive real system because it is not stable. However, if you note, as we had discussed, S by S minus 1 is such that its polar plot lies in the, or its Nyquist plot lies in the um, first and the fourth quadrant of the GS plane as shown here. Okay. Also, notice that for positive real transfer functions, the phase angle that you evaluate at every frequency omega. So we are talking of a seesaw system. Okay, we're talking of a seesaw system. So the phase angle that you evaluate for every frequency at every frequency omega will always be in the range of minus 90 degrees to plus 90 degrees. This is being revealed from the result itself, that the real part of G omega has to be non-negative, and this is only possible if they lie in the first and the fourth quadrant, which indicates that the phase associated with it will always be in the range of minus 90 to plus 90. So what I urge you is try to construct different transfer functions whose phase would be in -90 to +90, and conclude whether they are positive real systems or not. Okay. Now, what is the so as I had said towards the end of the lecture, so we are coming towards the end of this lecture. So, what is the definition of positive real transfer matrix for multi-input, multi-output system? Okay, so here consider that the transfer matrix is a P cross P matrix. Okay, please note that we are considering the number of inputs and the number of outputs are the same. So you have this GS to be a P cross P transfer matrix. So we'll call this GS to be positive real if number one, all poles, the poles of all elements in GS. So GS is a P cross P matrix. So there would be P square terms in GS. Okay. So the poles of each term that you have are in the left half of the S plane. Okay, it can be in the open left half or on the imaginary axis, but nothing on the open right half. Now for all those poles, uh, sorry, for all the points on the j omega axis which are not a part of any of the poles in GS. Okay, it is so consider all those j omega points which are not pole of any of the elements of GS of the GS matrix. Okay, for all of them, G j omega plus G transpose minus j omega will be a positive semi-definite matrix for all those points which are not a pole of any of the elements in the system. Okay, for all those imaginary points, purely imaginary points. Okay, the third point is if you have a purely imaginary pole of GS, if there are certain elements which have purely imaginary poles for GS, then those imaginary poles have to be simple poles, which means that those poles are non-repeating. They occur only once. So if plus j is a pole, then minus j is also a pole because of conjugate poles occurrence for real systems. But plus j cannot be repeated twice or thrice. So plus j cannot have more than one copy there. If there are multiple plus j poles, then it won't qualify for a real positive real system. Okay, so if there are purely imaginary poles, number one, they have to be a simple pole. Okay, and the residue that you calculate is going to be a positive semi-definite Hermitian matrix. Okay, the residue corresponding to the imaginary, purely imaginary pole that you have has to be positive semi-definite Hermitian. So what is Hermitian? Hermitian matrices are essentially positive semi-definite, you understand. What is Hermitian? Hermitian is if you have a complex matrix. See, if you have a real matrix, we call it symmetric if the transpose of the matrix is same as the matrix itself. If you have a complex matrix, then we call it a Hermitian matrix if the conjugate of the matrix transposed is same as the matrix itself. Okay, so the residue that you compute for this imaginary pole has to be a positive semi-definite Hermitian, and this pole has to be a simple. If all these three conditions are satisfied, then the transfer matrix GS qualifies to be called as a positive real. Otherwise, it won't. So this is for a multi-input, multi-output system. Okay. Now, from the positive real lemma, what we have got is a guarantee that the system which satisfies the positive real lemma, the system would be stable. Okay, we are not. Why? I mean, how does it turn out? you saw that the d by dt is going to be negative semi-definite. Okay, so the system is going to be stable. What if you want to guarantee that the system under consideration is asymptotically stable? Why? Because asymptotically stable guarantees that when the autonomous system evolves, it will evolve towards asymptotically towards the origin, assuming origin is the equilibrium point for the autonomous system, right? And the asymptotic, we have that asymptotic convergent behavior. Okay, that's a nice behavior to have. Okay, so the positive real lemma, with the help of positive real lemma or positive real systems, we can only go as far as stability. If you need asymptotic stability, then we need a slight modification to the positive real lemma. And this is where the notion of strictly positive real comes in. Earlier we had positive real. Now what will be discussing in the forthcoming lectures is something known as a strictly positive real system. So we'll take up this discussion in the next lecture. We'll stop here. Thank you.